Okay, in the previous video, we are talking about some signal integrity issues with dynamic CMOS. Of course, as we know that in dynamic CMOS, we're going to have the pull down logic, which is similar to that of a static CMOS. So to avoid that static power dissipation, so when compared to the pseudo NMOS, so we have two extra MOSFETs. One is NMOS, other is PMOS. One is for pre-charge the output to VDD, and the second one is for evaluating the output with respect to the corresponding input combinations. So we were discussing in the last video that so there is a possibility of power leakage. So whenever the output remains at VDD, so of course we also saw that how do we overcome that by having one more PMOS transistor which is connected from VDD to the point of output. And it was also found that there is an issue with this also, keeping this always on. Then we slightly modified the circuit to this so that now it is the output will not be going down, the charge will not be leaked here. Even if the charges get leaked here, whenever this is high, this will going to turn on this, so this high will not go down to a lower voltage because of charge leakage. So this will be maintained at high because this will be on and then providing the VDD voltage at that point. The second integrity issue in terms of dynamic logic is charge sharing. So let us try to understand this charge sharing difficulty in case of dynamic CMOS. You can see this is a dynamic CMOS circuit, maybe an implementation of a NAND gate. So here we have inputs A and B. So let us assume that B is always 0, but A is going from 0 to 1. So as long as this is 0, so we know that the output will be, because both the transistors are off. So during the pre-charge period, suppose if I say this is out, okay, let me say this is clock and this is out. So as long as the clock is 0, that is in pre-charge mode, and when it before it okay, during the pre-charge period, the output will be high here. So this is output will be high, this is 0. So since let us also write what is A and B. As long as A is 0, okay, let me just make this A extended 0 even during the evaluation period. So since A is 0 here, of course I would have written the input first. Okay, you can see this remains in this is 0, this is also 0. So this remains in logic high condition. Assume that if this goes high, if this goes high, as soon as this goes high, so what should ideally happen is it should still remain, it should remain high, because there is, this is still remaining 0. So as long as this is 0, and only if A goes to high, ideally speaking this voltage should remain at VDD, because there is no path for this capacitor to discharge to ground. But typically what happens is, even though you don't have a path from this to ground, whatever charge that is stored in this load capacitor CL till this point, it will be having, it will be holding some charges. As soon as we make this A transistor turned on, you can see this A transistor which was actually blocking the charges that were there in CL to go down to ground. Now as soon as this turns on, these charges will be get leaked to this particular capacitor, which is again a junction capacitor here. So because now you can see whatever charges that was there stored in CL will be get shared with this CB capacitor, which is again a junction capacitor. So instead of the voltage remaining at VDD here, as soon as this turns on, typically what happens is, so as soon as this turns on, this drops down. See, this is dropping down now. So why this is dropping down? This is the actual value. Of course this dropping totally depends on how much is the capacitance value and how much is the charge that is being shared with this CB capacitor, which is a junction capacitor at this point. Even though this is 0, this will going to lose the charge. Of course the ideal thinking of this voltage remaining VDD will not be possible, because whatever charge that is there in this CL during when both the inputs are 0, as soon as you make this 1, as soon as you make A is equal to 1, so because there is a path from path for the charges which are there in CL2 get leaked to this CV. So that's why the output will reduce. So this way the output which was supposed to be high will going to reduce down to a lesser value. That purely depends on what is the ratio of these capacitor values. So one remedy to overcome this is we can again have a bleeder capacitor which is something like this. So what you can do is, if I somehow ensure that this capacitor CB is fully charged, then this won't, the capacitor won't discharge because this is already charged. So what we'll do is we'll have one more uh, transistor which is connected to this junction. So you connect it to clock. So once clock becomes okay 1 here, so what happens here now? So once during the pre-charge period, along with charging this CL to VDD, the intermediate node capacitor is also charged to VDD. So this is also charged to VDD. So during the evaluation period, even though when you make this equal to 1, since this was already charged to VDD, this is also charged to VDD. So since there is no potential difference between this end and this end, the charge will not be leaked here. So there is no question of charge sharing here, because this is already charged to the VDD because of this second pre-charge. This is pre-charge for this intermediate node. So by having this extra bleeding transistor, so we can avoid this charge sharing problem. If this is not there, then something like this will happen. Since you are providing one extra transistor which will going to make the intermediate node capacitor also as VDD, so the charge sharing will not happen even though when the input A becomes 0 to 1. So this way we can able to avoid the charge sharing difficulty in case of dynamic logic. Let us see one more issue in again dynamic logic. So this is again in dynamic logic. So in this dynamic logic, can you see this is a dynamic? So this is for understanding purpose. This is a dynamic NAND gate. So this is a static NAND gate. Can you see here? This is AB input. There is a clock. There is a clock here. This is PMOS, NMOS, and as long as this is 0, so we are thinking that okay, these are always 0. If it is 0, you know that okay, output is always 1, because during the clock pre-charge period, the output 1 has charged to VDD, so this remains at VDD here. You can see now this is this output is actually driving. So this is a NAND gate using static CMOS. So NAND gate, we usually write it like this. So this is how do we write a NAND gate. So this is like okay, this is A, this is B, and this is B. So it's the same thing which is slightly rewritten, so that this is A, this is B, now this is again A, this is B. So just to ensure that okay, the signals are properly given. So just to ensure that okay, it looks nice, so it has been slightly reoriented to write it like this. So this is a static NAND gate. You can see now the output of the previous NAND gate of the dynamic NAND gate is given as one of the input for this. Let us see what happens okay, when you make this other input for this NAND gate is actually 0 initially, and this is going high. Just see what happens here. So output 1 is this is output 1, which is happens to be one of the input for the second NAND gate. This is VDD here. This is VDD because this A and B are 0 0. So since it is 0 0, whatever the pre-charge value that was VDD will remain at output 1. So we are permanently making this 0 0. And then now assume that the other input for the static NAND gate is also 0. So since it is VDD and this is 0, because if any one of the input is 0 for a NAND gate, the output is VDD. You see now this is the output 2, this is at VDD. Now let us assume that we are making the second input of the static NAND gate as 1. So this is becoming 1. So as soon as this becomes 1, so we expect, so now this is 1, we expect of course the output should go down here. So this is output should go down. Is it correct? This output should go down. So once it goes down, so what is this output? this is actually 1 here, this is actually 1 here. So when this is 1, so what should happen to your final output? The final output should remain at what? 0. This is 1, this is also 1, output should remain at 0, because for a NAND gate, if it is 1 and 1, you are supposed to get 0. So this is what is expected. Let us see what happens in this capacitive coupling issues. See now, as soon as the output voltage tries to become 0, there is a capacitance from this drain to this gate. So there is a CGD capacitance which is coupling the output 2 to the input of this particular transistor. So because of this capacitive coupling, the voltage which is becoming high here. Okay, now you can see this is the V out. This is the V out. Okay, output 2 tries to become 0. As soon as this tries to become 0, the voltage output 1 which was there at high, this also tries to become 0. Can you see? This output is now coupled to this output. Why this output is coupled to this output? Because there is a parasitic capacitance which is connecting this point to this point. Since the voltage here is pre-charged to VDD, this is pre-charged to VDD. Now this voltage is going down to 0 because this is going high. When this is going high, if this tries to go low, now we can see this is going down. This is going down. As soon as this goes down, because we know that this happens to be the input of the NAND gate, instead of the output remaining at 0, because if any one of the input for this particular NAND gate is, of course, here it is the 1, but here, because if this output is becoming 0, this has become 0. As soon as this becomes 0, can you see the output, instead of remaining at 0, this goes to high state. This goes to high state, which is not a expected value. The expected value was logic 0 here, because you are having it as 0, 0, then output is 1. Once this becomes 0 to 1, this is 1, this is 1, the output should become 0. But if you can see here, the output is going high. So why it is going high is because this output is capacitively coupled to one of the input here. So why it is bringing it down to 0 is because this is now pre-charged. If there was a static NAND gate here, that static NAND gate would have actually supplied the VDD to this through that pull-up network. Since we have this pull-up network high impedance for a dynamic case, so we're going to have these type of issues. So this is called as capacitive coupling. Due to this capacitive coupling, this output voltage which is becoming low here has been coupled to this input, which will make the output to go again high. This way, this is one of the major issues with dynamic logic. We have to be a bit careful while designing the dimensions of these transistors. The other issue here is there is something called as what? Clock coupling. This is clock feed through or clock coupling. This is feed, this is feed through. So there is a possibility of clock feed through here. So let us try to understand what is this clock feed through is. Now we know that during the pre-charge period, clock is 0. So during pre-charge period, clock is 0, and we know that okay, output 1 will it be okay? Will it be high here? So output, okay, this is 0. Because output 1 is this point, this is output 1, so this is equal to VD. Now as soon as the clock becomes 1 here, again due to this capacitive coupling, can you see there is a gate and there is a drain, there is a capacitor, there is a gate CGD. Because of this CGD, the output which was there at, of course, now assume that this is still 0, 0. If it is 0, 0 means it should continue there at 0. Because of this capacitive coupling, what will happen is the voltage which was supposed to be 0 here, because there is a sudden change in the voltage at this point from 0 to VDD, this also tries to go slightly up. This is going above VDD. This is above VDD. So as soon as this becomes voltage above VDD, so if you can just make out here, there is a substrate which is of what, N type, and this is, one second. Okay, let me continue. uh, I was talking about, so suppose if there is because of this, okay, increase in the clock voltage from 0 to VDD, the output voltage also tries to become slightly more than VDD because of capacitive coupling. Now we can see there is a parasitic diode existing between the drain of this and bulk. So drain of a PMOS is P type and bulk of a PMOS is N type. See now, this voltage, of course the bulk is connected to VDD. If the voltage here becomes greater than VDD, can you see that the N type is far more than P type? So instead of this becoming reverse bias, now it has become forward bias. This forward biasing will make your transistor, this whatever transistor is there, transistor will be get damaged, because you are having a heavy flow of currents from VDD to the bulk. So whenever there is a heavy current flows from VDD to bulk, so then you're going to have an issue in the transistor. The transistor will be get spoiled. So we have to avoid this. Make sure that this increment in voltage should be less than the cut-in voltage of this particular diode. So we have to always ensure that this will never turn on because of this clock feed through. So this concept of change in the voltage at this point more than VDD due to the change in the clock voltage from 0 to VDD is called as clock feed through. You'll also see one more signal integrity issue in case of dynamic logic. Now this is cascading of dynamic logic circuits. You can see I'm just cascading the output of one dynamic circuit to the second dynamic circuit. Just keep an eye on the output of this is connected to the input of the second dynamic logic. So let us assume that this is your clock which is there in the pre-charge mode, and this is in evaluation mode. This is in evaluation mode. So whenever it is in pre-charge mode, we know that both MPs here. So MP matlab the transistor which is corresponding to pre-charge, the outputs are high. The outputs are high. So since the output is VDD here, the output is VDD after 10 minutes. Output is VDD here, output is VDD because the pre-charge is you are there in the pre-charge period. So since the MP, both the MPs are turned on, so the output 1 and output 2 are VDD here, both are VDD. Now assume that input is high initially during the evaluation period. You can see now this is gone high. So during the evaluation period, assume that input is high. So this input 1, so whenever this input 1 is high, see now, does this voltage tries to go down? This voltage tries to go down. Since this is connected to this, since the output of this is connected to this, so this starts going down. Of course, it will certainly take some time to go down here. You can see it is going down here. So as soon as the voltage at the output of second one, you can see this is your output 1. So let us assume that okay, this is your period. So it will take some time for this to go down. because we know that this voltage cannot become instantaneously, it cannot reduce to zero. So you cannot expect that okay, this will become like this. So this will never happen. This will never happen. It will take some time and then it will discharge. It will discharge like this because it has some resistance associated with this, because this is your ground point. There's a resistor here, there's a resistor here. This capacitor will take certainly some time to discharge. So assume that it is discharging slowly like this. So what we actually expected was, so as soon as this input is 1, so the output is 0 here, and this 0 should become 1. So we are supposed to get 1 as 1 only. So this should remain at 1. So our expectation is the output should remain at 1. Output should remain at 1. Let us see what happens. See now, the input has gone high. Input has gone high during the entire evaluation period. This input high will take some time for this output voltage 1 to go down to 0. You can see now it is going down to 0. Now it has went down to 0. There is some threshold voltage associated with this. So there is a threshold voltage. As long as the voltage here is more than threshold voltage, will this be keep discharging? So will this be keep discharging? Because you can see now this is the voltage till this point. So after this evaluation, after this pre-charge period, now this also start reducing. Can you see this also start reducing? Why it is reducing? Because this is 1. This is 1. So this continues to discharge as long as this is more than VTH. This is more than VTH. Can you see now? We were expected the output voltage to be there at VDD, but this is 0. So you can see you have actually lost this much voltage because of what? Because this is taking some time to become 0. You can see this is taking some time to become 0. So till that point this transistor is on, which is making these two. We were supposed to get over here, but it is reduced to this voltage. So we have to always ensure that as soon as the evaluation mode comes, this should discharge quickly, meaning that the resistance offered by these two should be small enough so that it comes down quickly. Once it comes down quickly, this won't lose the voltage. This won't lose the voltage. So this is one difficulty in cascading of the dynamic logics. So even though we have a lot of advantages in terms of saving the number of gates in dynamic logic, so we have to be careful in terms of these signal integrity issues. There are so many issues. We have started with charge leakage. So this is one charge leakage where you cannot keep it for a longer time, so charge will be get leaked. Then second is charge sharing. So some charge will be get shared with the intermediate nodes, and that can be overcome by having one more leading transistor. Then it is capacitive coupling, which will make your output voltage to have a different logic than the expected one. We also have something like clock feed through effect, so which will make your transistor get damaged. So we have to ensure that whatever rise in the voltage should not be too much, that so that it will turn on your this particular diode. And of course the last one, which is if you are cascading the dynamic logics, so you may not get exactly the VDD here, so there is a loss of voltage. That purely depends on how late it is going down to less than VTH. So maybe in the next class we just also study one more type of logic, which is called as differential cascade voltage switching logic. So we just have a look at that.